the best handheld console, most disappointing game, and the best open world game. All these questions are going to be answered right now on Gamer Brawl. Hello, folks. Welcome to Hole 5's Gamer Brawl. I'm your host, Connor, and thanks for stopping by. What is Gamer Brawl and how does it work? Well, Gamer Brawl is a show where we debate video games. We invite 3 gamers to our show and have them debate video game questions. Each round, I will ask a question. Each gamer will give their answer and a brief explanation as to why. Then, I will let them duke it out. When I feel the battle has run its course, I will pick a winner. Each question you win will gain you 1 point. The main event will gain you 3. Whomever has the most points will win. Now, let's move on to our gamers. Our editor of the show with 0 wins, 1 loss, and 1 point in total, 16 years of gaming, and his favorite video game is Final Fantasy VII, the one and only Fanta Boy Andrew.
Hey there, guys. How's it going?
Making his Gamer Brawl debut today, he is very excited. He's got 13 years of gaming under his belt, with his favorite video game being Paper Mario, our good friend, Michael.
What's up?
And with 0 wins, 1 loss, and 3 points, he's got 16 years of gaming under his belt. He loves Donkey Kong Country, the one and only Neil.
That's it, man.
You guys understand how this works?
Yeah.
Oui, mon frère.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Our first question is best handheld console. And we're going to start it off with Michael.
Well, I mean, okay, the best handheld console is the Game Boy Advance. And we all know that's true. Is that all I mean, is that good? Am I good?
You can give an explanation as to why.
Okay, well, the reason that the Game Boy Advance is the best handheld console of all time is because, all right, you don't go as a console and you get 3 upgrades of the same system and have countless and like memorable games that get transported to every new Nintendo console without being an amazing console in itself. I still own the original Game Boy Advance and the Game Boy SP, and I definitely think that they fucked up not having the Game Boy Advance cartridge slot in the new 3DS. Because those timeless classics will never die.
Alrighty. We're going to go next to Neil. What do you think?
Alright, we roll in with the original DS, the Nintendo DS, the beautiful, beautiful handheld. Not only could it play every single Game Boy Advance and Color game ever, it could also play DS games, and it folded, and it had 2 screens, and one of them was touchscreen, and it's a good console.
Alrighty. We move on to Andrew. Andrew?
Alright, I'm going to be going with the Sega Game Gear. The reason why I chose the Sega Game Gear is because it was the launch of Sega into portable gaming. It sold the second most units, only placing behind the original Game Boy when it first came out, and it had an amazing frame. It was really, really comfortable to hold. Had timeless classics on it. You could play Sonic, Madden, Road Rash, all sorts of different games, and it brought so much to the table you just could not do on the Game Boy. So yeah, that's my argument against what they have chosen.
What the fuck is a Sega Game Gear?
Correct.
Alright.
Go ahead. You guys can start debating.
Alright, well, I'm gonna kick it off right now, rocking that DS. Your Game Boy Advance was a good console, I'll give you that. But playing Game Boy Color, Game Boy Advance games...
You can never play Game Boy Color on the DS.
Yes, you can!
No, you can't!
Yeah, you can!
I own one, dude.
Yeah, you can.
You can put them in the fucking Game Boy Advance fucking hole in the bottom, and it fits, and then play 'em. Yeah, I mean, every single game you can play on the Advance, you can play on the DS, plus the numerous beautiful DS games. Not to mention, it sold a ridiculous amount of fucking units. It's great. The folding is great. Best thing to come to handhelds is the folding.
They had that on the Game Boy SP.
Yeah, but you said Game Boy Advanced.
Game Boy Advance is technically the
No,
SP as well.
no, the Game Boy Advance is the Game Boy Advance. Those are two completely different systems.
They're really not, though.
Game Boy Advanced SP is different. I was considering putting the SP as my answer. You must choose now if you're choosing.
Dude, they're the same console.
No, they're not.
Yes, they are.
Regardless of that,
We're not debating over the fact that
better
they do that.
resolution on the screen. The touchscreen was sick. Like, obviously the DS. Obviously.
Okay. And another thing that the Game Gear has that's different from the other consoles is that,
what is the Game Gear?
The Game Gear is the Sega handheld console that released in 1997. I can't be any more clear on that.
Have you played it?
Yes, I have actually. I have one. Mortal Kombat 2. Got rocking that. You were rocking Sonic the Hedgehog. You have many memorable. Batman Returns when it first came out. They have that on it. There are tons of games for the system. The one downfall, if we're going to talk about downfalls, is that it wasn't rechargeable. You did have to use AA batteries with it. However, it still
you
kept.
just killed yourself.
It did.
Wasn't fucking rechargeable?
No, it wasn't.
No, it came
What?
out. It came out in 1997, man.
Alright, kids.
We're rocking old school. Anyway, it still holds up.
Got that.
It still had, it still kept up with the technology. Had lots coming to the table for it, and
Does it kept up with the technology? Really?
at the time it did. At the time it did.
Well, but you just said it holds up. It keeps up with the technology.
Does it hold up now?
Okay, obviously not now.
So then,
Right? Because the DS does, and the Game Boy Advance don't.
the Game Boy Advance does.
Doesn't? That's why there's the Game Boy DS, and they're not making the Game Boy Advance anymore.
Wait, sorry, can you say that again?
Said that is why they aren't making the Game Boy Advance anymore, and they're making DSs now.
Okay, yeah, you confused it the first time.
Did I?
Yeah,
You said Game Boy DS. I'm like, that's
Oh.
a thing.
yeah.
Oh, no.
It's like, huh?
No,
There's a Game Boy DS now?
What?
Oh, Lord.
Think of the possible.
And also, Michael, you do realize that the Game Boy Advance also you needed batteries for it unless you got the special pack for it in the back, right? It also had batteries.
I'm still repping that they're all the same console.
No,
Am I?
How
okay.
are they not?
The console was released in 2001, and it's still using batteries. Like my console came out 5 years earlier, still had a really good library for games, and
At
okay.
least Nintendo is still making handhelds.
That is very true.
Now look at the
Also-
advancements in technology from the Game Boy Advance to the DS. If that came out in 2001, the DS started in 2004.
That is
Like,
very true.
That's
But I
only
mean,
3 years.
Actually?
Yeah.
Think about the amount of DSs that have been broken over the years.
Yeah,
And
but
think
think.
of
Okay.
the stability of
All
a.
right.
Of
No,
a
no,
disc.
just wait. Okay, Michael, I will let you say that the Game Boy Advance and the SP are the same console if I can say the DS, the DS Lite, the 2DS, the DSi, the DSi XL, and the 3DS, and the new 3DS XL are the same console.
The 3DSs are not the same console.
why?
They bring entirely different hardware to the game. There's no different hardware
And so-
incorporated into the Game Boy SP
And I would say
besides a backlight.
technically that the DSi is the same console because they still use the same. Okay, all right.
Yes, the DSi is the same console, and the DS Lite is also the same console. Because the DS had problems with lighting, and it had a shitty screen that barely even worked all that well, but I'll give you the fact that they upgraded it with the DSi and the DS Lite. They just improved on its capabilities of processing games.
Right. So all the Game Boy Advance games it could play, and the fact that they fixed the screen issue. I mean, the best part about the DS, the SP, if we're even counting it as the same console, besides the fact that it could fold, was the fact that it had a backlight, an optional backlight actually, at that, which is kind of silly.
Hey, sometimes you want to save battery life.
Yeah, but realistically, I always played with my backlight on.
Yeah, exactly. Still
So
survived
fucking point of having it optional.
because sometimes you don't want to, in highlight situations you don't have to.
You never do not want to play without the backlight.
Damaging your eyes, you know.
Fuck off.
All right. Andrew, take yourself out of this equation.
Okay.
Late.
Which one do you like? Would you play more, the Game Boy Advance or the DS?
If you still had the option to, you know.
I would definitely take the DS because not only can you play the Game Boy Advance games, you can also play DS games. Like that's not a question.
Okay, Michael, taking yourself out of the equation. Although I feel like your answer is going to be obvious: the Sega Game Gear or the DS.
DS.
Neil, taking
Do I even have
yourself.
to say it? Do I even have to say it?
All right, Neil gives his point to Game Boy. All right, well, I think I'm going to call it there. I'm going to give it to Neil.
Fucking right. Just wait. I'm getting it. Where is it?
Michael, you were very close on that one. Brought up some good points, but Neil's points were all better. And Andrew, that was not a good round for you.
All right.
All right. Okay, we'll now move on to our next question. This is a brand new kind of question. It's called the creative question. This question is going to be worth 2 points. Now, how the creative questions work is they're entirely based on your creativity and how you answer the question. So, this week's question, what video game world would you live in during the zombie apocalypse? And we're going to start out with Neil.
Okay. I'm going to go with Borderlands, the Borderlands universe. So that does include both games. Borderlands 1, not the pre-sequel, because that's on the moon. But the biggest point is Borderlands' world is so fucked already. Everyone knows how to shoot a fucking gun. Plus, there's so many guns and so many bullets and so many guns that don't take bullets and so many structures that are impervious to these weapons that it would be almost impossible to die. Like, to die from a fucking from slow zombies. Because if these guys can survive fucking bandits in fast cars with rocket launchers, I'm pretty sure they can survive... No, I'm 100% sure they can survive some slow-ass walking undead people.
All right. We're going to go to Michael. Michael?
All right, now if we're talking realistically the zombie apocalypse, and we're talking about complete, like basically the end result is the ending of all civilization, because that's like the realistic takeover of the world. If that's what you're going for, I'm not absolutely positive.
It's a creative question. It's whatever you think.
Okay. Well, based on that, I would go for the Animal Crossing world. And
That's
the reason
just twisted.
The reason that I would choose the Animal Crossing world is because everybody's so nice to each other. There's no fighting. It's all kind of like a controlled thing. And even if like the zombie outbreak did happen, the zombies wouldn't be more friendly in regards to their own into the world that they're brought into, in the game world that they're brought into, because they'd be programmed and they'd be like the exact same thing as basically an NPC where you just kind of probably have to go do some bone fetching quests. They're not going to eat you. You're not going to die. You still got to play Animal Crossing, and you still got to go and collect little bugs in your catcher's net. You know?
All right. Andrew.
We're gonna go with the Jack and Daxter world. So there, for those of you who don't know, or are too young for this, because this franchise was very popular in the PlayStation 2 era. It takes place in Crash City, and basically you have this vast world where it's basically human life, except for it's a little bit more technologically advanced, and they are, for the most part, everyone's a human except for they have elf ears. That's kind of really the only difference. The reason why I chose this world is because there's so much corruption already, and there's so much for a children's game, it's actually very dark. There's there's already so much happening in terms of corruption and death and misery, and you really get the feel for that in the game. And there's already so many messed up creatures and everything that I feel like a zombie apocalypse would just bring a new light to it. So you have if you, regardless of the type of zombie that you're going for, if you're going for something that is straight out of a movie, classic storybook zombie where they just go for your brains, like regardless of whatever kind of zombie you're thinking of here, they're going to bring an interesting hit to the table because you have all these really, really cool weapons. You have tons of different powers that everybody has. You have cyborgs. You have robots. Like different takes on the zombie apocalypse. So like, what if there was a strain that a virus, for example, that could infect cyborgs and robots? Like it would just be really, really cool to see it happen. Not obviously not saying that it would. This being creative question, but like it would be very cool.
All right, you guys have all given your answers. Go ahead, start saying why each other are wrong.
All right. Well,
you start it off again, Neil?
I'm starting it off again.
Go for it, buddy.
I just can't take it anymore. Animal Crossing. That now you have an axe, but they ain't being nice to you. There ain't a zombie apocalypse around that the zombies are like, well, hello, friend. Would you like to buy some coffee from me? Or like, wow, your house looks great. Or like,
Okay,
wow, you're in debt.
But Neil,
Like-
you're not thinking in context of the game world that you're living in.
I am.
You're not though.
Okay, Michael, zombie apocalypses, people are nice to each other all the time. I have never seen a person rip another man's ribcage out and start eating him alive. That doesn't mean that when he's a zombie, he's not going to do that. He's like, oh, you helped me cross the street that one time. You were a patrol. I'm going to leave you alone, buddy. I'll eat someone else's brains. That's not how it works.
Again, you're not thinking of context of the game world.
Okay, Michael, defend yourself here.
Okay, when you're thinking, if this is a creative question and we don't have a defined amount, we have no like a defined zombie or like the way the apocalypse functions, and you're thinking about the way that the game world is structured, the game world is structured that there are no like harmful things towards you.
So it's the exact same, except
So
for
it is
they're all
the exact same. You do not suffer. There's no death. Basically, it starts with like the creation of these zombies. And they're not going to infect anybody. So basically,
That sounds like
world
the
is
shittiest zombie
the
apocalypse.
No, you know what? No, but the
area.
point of that. Okay, you know what? I'm going to defend Michael here in the sense where, even though that this is a zombie apocalypse world that you want to live in. So if everybody in the zombie, but here's the thing though, is that the people in Animal Crossing, you have to take into account, even though people in Animal Crossing are all fine and dandy now. They obviously this is something that has never been come into contact with them. So if people started getting sick and people started eating people because like let's throw in some rules here. Zombies eat.
Zombies have to,
They eat people.
No.
Zombies eat people. That is a
No. A zombie does not technically have to eat anybody. A zombie virus can infect a living creature, and it's the same thing as the spores coming out of the infection that happens to ants, where they get controlled by fungi.
That's not how my zombie apocalypse works.
Okay, and zombie. Okay, this is what.
Gentlemen,
You're talking.
This is what.
Michael is speaking.
No, but this is sorry. I got to say this. This is what zombie means by definition. A fictional undead creature, typically despised of the mindless, reanimated human corpse who hungers for human flesh. That is what a zombie is.
I'm trying to listen to Michael's answer. Michael?
We never defined what the zombie outbreak is, so we don't know what the cause and the effect of it is.
It is a creative question, so Michael's answer is definitely on the creative side.
Okay,
It's
okay.
definitely.
Look,
No. Let me finish.
I'm arguing with you now. Okay, I'll let it slide. I'll let it run. Okay, but now you're only living in that world because you figure you could serve like that. That's why, right? Like if there was a zombie,
it's a fun world in general.
Okay, so if you're making a zombie apocalypse, okay, so my zombie apocalypse affects the human brain. They're dead. They come back to life, and everyone's friends. They stop shooting each other, but the people who still hate each other still kill each other. So more and more people die. They come back to life, and it turns Pandora from this wild wasteland desert full of hate and corruption into hell. Maybe it's the prequel to Animal Crossing.
Ooh, shit! I like that. See, look
All
at
right,
everything.
I like
Everything, everything just leads to Animal Crossing, you know.
Okay, that's my argument then.
But I don't get
Zombie
why.
apocalypse affects their brains and makes them love each other. So everyone who's ever died comes back to life, and they're just the friendliest person, and they love everyone. And that's why I want to live on Pandora, because it's beautiful there. It's great. It's very nice. And when everyone's working together, I'm sure that place will become a prosperous society.
Now, I can't tell, Neil, if that's an actual statement or if it's dripping with sarcasm.
Oh, it's dripping with sarcasm,
Okay.
but that is my actual statement.
Okay. See, but then I could use the exact same argument because I mean, like, you have a.
Which one do you want to live in, Andrew? It's up to you. Would you rather live in a fucking zombie apocalypse of death, or
Gentlemen, I'm going to give some advice. When it comes towards Michael's, yes, in Michael's world, in regards to his game, that answer makes sense. In regards to Neil's, that might not necessarily make more sense.
That's how
You
the
want,
zombie apocalypse
with your world, with whatever your video game is, make the zombie apocalypse make sense in your world. Creatively. That's all I'm
Thank
going to
you.
say. Andrew, go ahead. You haven't talked in a while.
Okay, so
Yeah.
and with my zombie apocalypse, all right, like you have a lot of deceit and stuff like that, so that would only add to it. So it would think of it as think of it as being a more more interactive, extraneous version of The Walking Dead, if you were, because you have cyborgs, you have all this stuff coming into the world. You have tons of new creatures. You have all this really, really cool stuff coming into play. So I feel like zombies would just make it even more exciting because nothing in my childhood, made me more exciting than using the Peacemaker, which is a gun that shoots, green energy and just like evaporates whatever it hits, or you use electric, there's a gun in the game that bounces off walls and the bullets hit things. Like, you know how much fun that would be in a zombie apocalypse? Like, having like that open. There's so much possibility with weaponry, and there's just so much possibility with everything. It would be super cool. Not to mention the fact that, so in the game there's a substance called eco, and it's considered to be the world's life source. And the main character of the series, Jack, has has control of both light and dark eco in his system, so he can turn into Dark Jack. So he has his nails grow like 6 inches longer, and he becomes like this wicked badass villain, like anti-hero. And if he becomes Light Jack, he becomes an angel, and he can use he can use light eco to heal things. He can
Okay, but wait.
you know how cool that would be to have like powers like that in that world in the midst of a zombie apocalypse.
Guys, okay, all right. Just a second. I'll do the same thing as Andrew is right now. Every single gun Andrew just stated is also in Borderlands. Plus, thousands of different versions of all of them. Plus, I mean, let's talk about the cast of Borderlands real quick. You have a guy who can throw down an automated turret and have that mow down the zombies, or you have a girl who has a flying robot named Death Trap or something stupid like that, who never dies and fucks up all her enemies, or you have a psycho who kills every time he kills something with his axe, he regains his full health, all wounds gone. Think of that in a zombie apocalypse. You're fucking bleeding, and some zombies coming at you, and you hit them with an axe, and they're alive. And then you have a fucking guy who can go invisible and get an instant critical hit, so like an immediate shot to the head. And then you have, like, dude, you have a fucking siren who can lock people in the air and explode them and heal all of her teammates. Like, the potential for living in an aggressive zombie wasteland in Borderlands is there. And, while it may not make sense in my game, the potential for living in a non-aggressive one would. Plus, I mean, Borderlands has done stupider shit than put in happy zombies.
Okay,
That's very true.
Alright.
There's an entire DLC based on Dungeons and Dragons, where you literally fight through a D&D campaign.
Okay, but the only thing that I'm going to say about this is you have to put yourself in that world.
Yes.
Would you personally want to go living around where you can get murdered around every corner, getting
Yes.
either shot in the head and dying, along with Andrews. You would like to do that. You as a person
Yes.
right now would love to do that.
Yes.
I completely doubt that.
If I had to live in a zombie apocalypse where I was a person who had lived on that planet my entire life, right? I would be very familiar with how to fight for myself to defend. There'd be plenty of ways for me to defend myself. There's billions of guns for me to use with an uncountable amount of ammo.
Okay, wait, Connor.
Yep.
Is this you sticking yourself into the world, or is this you
It's
being a character that has been developed and trained in these ways?
it's creative, so there is some leeway, but I'm just gonna say, for argument's sake, it is you living in this current our
Okay.
universe, Earth, being plopped into any universe of your choosing.
Okay, so no, you would not like to live in the Borderlands, and no, you would not like to live in Jak and Daxter because of all the violence and darkness that surrounds everything, with people trying to kill you and murder you.
With that in mind, I'm gonna ask then, Andrew.
Yeah.
Taking yourself out of this, which zombie apocalypse world would you choose to live in? Michael's Animal Crossing world or Borderlands?
See, that's a really tough one because, like I'm taking Michael's point into account, but at the same hand, like, living. Okay, so living in Pandora would be so cool, regardless of a zombie apocalypse or not, because like it's not like the chance of you dying in Borderlands with the zombie apocalypse going on is going to make it like even it's not going to make the chance of you dying higher. It's just going to add a different enemy to the mix.
Wait. Before we do this whole ending thing, I have a point to make.
Okay.
Okay.
No. You said zombie apocalypse. Michael's is not an apocalypse.
An
There is-
apocalypse
there
doesn't
is-
have to be
and-
determined.
No,
by that.
Michael, don't you bring this shit up again. There,
No.
in no way is having people who are dead come back to life. Death is a normal part of life. If having people who died come back to life and act the exact same is in no way an apocalypse.
An apocalypse, by definition, is, well, it's mostly in religious context, but it's the end of knowledge. It's the end of the world in general. Like, it's the end of what we know.
I'll give you the not having a definition of a zombie one, but apocalypse is never, ever considered a good thing. There is not a person alive who's like, man, I really just can't wait for the fucking apocalypse to come and kill all of us and end the world. Man, I'm stoked. That's gonna be a fun day. Yours is not apocalypse in
Okay.
the slightest.
All right, but even taking that in the context of the Animal Crossing world, if everybody else was wiped out and became a zombie, they would still apply to the rules of what they are, as NPCs of that world. They wouldn't like what? They're going to be little cute, adorable little zombies.
Yeah, but it's not an apocalypse, even though they're dead.
No.
Sure, they're cute.
No.
They're cute little zombies, and everyone's dead. But the zombies are still having a thriving civilization because they're nice to each other. They go around and they catch bugs with their nets.
Hey man,
They
you
sell
don't
those
you,
bugs.
you don't know what these kind of what kind of
Okay, so it is an apocalypse, and they're trying to
there you go.
kill each other.
okay, even
Contradict
going like that.
yourself.
They're a little tiny, little cute, half-sized things towards my waist that I could just easily brush over.
Okay.
Okay,
So, Andrew, you did choose Borderlands, right?
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go with Borderlands.
Okay, Michael, excluding yourself, which one would you choose? Jak and Daxter or Borderlands?
I would go with Jak and Daxter.
All right. Neil, excluding yourself, Animal Crossing or Jak and Daxter?
fuck. It would be no fun at all to do it in Animal Crossing. So
Okay, but as yourself though,
I'm going with Jak and Daxter.
like yeah, okay.
Okay. It's close. Do you gentlemen have any final thoughts? Anything you
No,
want to
dude,
say?
we just threw out our final thoughts. Come on.
Okay.
As yourself though, that's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, as myself, I would rather live in Jak and Daxter.
You
and
would
face
be
the-
terrified, crying in the corner.
That's okay.
No,
I would
you
rather,
Okay.
would rather face the danger.
And Michael, do you have anything final to say?
That's all I wanted to say.
Andrew, you have anything to say?
Nope, I'm good.
Okay. Let me start off by saying, Andrew, I was kind of interested in yours. Yours was starting to get interesting because I don't know much about the Jak and Daxter world, but I felt like you didn't give me a clearer picture. So for that reason, you're out. And Michael, it was definitely a very creative answer you gave. It was unquestionably the most creative one. I wasn't expecting it by any stretch of the imagination, but I mean, you have to understand. The way I look at it is apocalypse. Yes, at some point the Animal Crossing world could turn into the happy world that you described. I felt like you could have described it more and given me more of a clearer image of what the zombie apocalypse could have looked like. It was very cool, but at the end of the day, Neil's does sound like the easiest one to get around in, with the huge amount of weapons and all that, so I'm giving it to Neil.
Oh, mama. Sweet. Okay.
On the plus note, from now on, we're going to try and give more definition to our creative questions, because that got a little annoying. Our next question, the most disappointing game. We're going to start out with Andrew.
All right. We're going to go with The Order 1886. Chose this game because it was, I was really looking forward to it come out. Like, the game was announced right on the PS4 launch. Everybody was super pumped for it. It looked super great. And then when the game launched, everybody went and bought it. Everybody was super happy. The game is gorgeous. I will say that. Like, the graphics on it are, oh my god, like, they are fantastic. However, the gameplay is just not all there. Like, shooting in the game is really clunky. The storyline is super linear. You have no there's no personality to the game. Like, there's no personal interest. It's there's more quick time events. There's an entire so to put it lightly, there's an entire chapter in the game dedicated to a cutscene. Like, I get that they're trying to go for cinematics. I get that they were trying to make the game as pretty as possible, but when I go to play a video game, I'm playing it for the game. I'm not looking for things like that, right? Again, I'm not saying that the game is awful, but I feel like it was, everybody was expecting more. There was so much hype for the game, and it just, when the game dropped, it flopped.
Okay. Michael.
Can you skip to Neil? Still debating. Give me a second.
Okay.
All right. So, I'm going with Shadow of Mordor. Everyone knows what Shadow of Mordor is. It just came out. Now, while the evolving orc society is really cool, myself being mainly a PC gamer, pre-ordered the game, was super hyped for it, and the bonus for pre-ordering it on PC, how the game works is there's runes, and you can customize your weapons with these runes. Now, I was expecting a good amount of weapons, quality over quantity, sure, but the runes plus the different weapons would have made for a sick combat system. There's only 3 weapons. There's the bow and arrow, the dagger, which is only used for sneak attacks, and the sword, which is used for all your fighting. Obviously, the bow is ranged. Not only that, the game is so poorly optimized on PC that I have an expensive gaming computer, and I could play it on fucking medium. And that's with slight frame rate lag. Like, you needed, 4... I think when it first came out, you needed 6 gigabytes of video RAM to play it on Ultra, and then they optimized it a bit better, and they changed it to... and they got it down to 4. But 4 gigabytes is, the best graphics cards around, basically, you need to play this on PC. Not to mention, there's only one boss fight in the game. One real boss fight. It's a sick boss fight, sure. The second boss of the game, you stand on a porch, and you go into your ghost mode, and you see the real one, and you stab him, and you rinse and repeat it 3 times. That's the entire boss fight. The last boss fight is 5 button presses on a QuickTime event. Now, this game is a fucking Lord of the Rings. It's in the Lord of the Rings universe. And it's between The Hobbit and the Lord of the Rings. So they could pull whatever they felt like, basically. They were not bound by storyline. And they managed to fuck up the boss fights in a huge epic universe. Like the Lord of the Rings. And
I will say this, you have so many orcs. It's not like you're bound... Yeah, I have to agree with you. It's not like you're bound to characters, right? Yeah.
Yeah, and even the orcs are cool, sure, but there's only 4 or 5 different kinds of orc generals you can have, right? and they can have like poison on their weapon or bleed on their weapon or whatever, but it gets boring of seeing the slaver and the hunter all the same time over and over again.
Yeah.
All right, Michael.
Okay, this one is it's really hard for me to choose. I had two on here, and like, oh man, I don't know which one to choose.
Just pick one.
Just right now.
but which one I can defend though is better because of my own personal experience toward it. Okay, This is gonna break some hearts and probably Andrew's, but I'm gonna choose The Last of Us.
Oh, you bitch. Okay.
Okay.
All right, say it.
The reason why me personally, I think it's the most disappointing game for me is because I waited, I don't know how long. I finished it this year. I started playing it this year, over in February, and the hype around it that I've been waiting for so long to play this game, it wasn't there. I was waiting, and I played it all the way through, like did everything and like collected everything I could, and it felt like a waste of $40. The only reason why, because when the game has so much hype around it, and like it's regarded as one of the best games of all time, and it's like something that you must own as like a PS3 owner or like a PS4 owner, and you need to like have that in your collection to be like a true kind of like PS3 gamer. I completely disagree with that because it is disappointing as the Order 1886 for me, because it is one long like movie to me where I feel like the gameplay wasn't as good. The ending left me wanting so much more and feeling so done with that entire experience that I just felt frustrated. Like the lead up to the ending was perfect. Like it was amazing, and then last couple words and I just felt empty. I was like, I don't even understand why I played this game. I felt like there was no I felt like the open-endedness of it just bothered me. That's why it's my disappointed game, and I'll dive into more of it, but I just kind of wanted to brush on the surface there.
Go ahead, gentlemen.
I'm not gonna start this time.
All right, so we got ourselves the Order 1886. All right, again, the game is absolutely gorgeous. Very interesting setting. I think that was the thing that like drove everybody towards it. Is that
Andrew, I'm gonna interrupt you.
Yeah.
Because I know the pure rage you have of what Michael just said. So why don't you go ahead and address
stop trying to make your game look good, dog. Look bad. All right.
Go ahead, Andrew. Go ham on The Last of Us.
Tear Michael up.
Okay, all right. So we got ourselves The Last of Us. All right. You have an absolutely gorgeous game. This game's graphics for the PlayStation 3 and the PlayStation 4 are some of the best that we've ever seen in current gen gaming. The story is absolutely fantastic. You cannot say, Michael, that there's anything wrong with that story. From beginning to end, you get a feeling for every single character that you meet, before or past, who dies, who lives, whatever. You get to meet that character, you get to love that character. Doesn't matter who they are, you get a feeling for who they are. The soundtrack for the game is absolutely fantastic. You cannot deny that as well. It absolutely complements everything about the game. The weapons in the game, the combat system is absolutely flawless. There's nothing about that combat system that is bad. You make weapons on the go. You're using everything that's around you. It is entirely environmental. The zombies are so unique. There is so much going on for them. You have some zombies that you can't even kill. You have to just make your way around them, which adds a completely different aspect of the game where, it's not a run and gun. No point in the game is the game just a run and gun. And if you want it to be a run and gun for certain parts of the game, you have that option. There are options to get through different missions. You can do it different ways. You have you know, again, the crafting in the game is a huge part of it. It is what makes the game so immersive. You literally look around the room and see what you can find. You throw rocks to get their attention. You pull out a brick, you beat someone in the head with a brick to get to the next setting. You know, you can make knives, you can make shivs, you can make, you know, Molotov cocktails, whatever you need to get to where you need to go. And it does all of it absolutely flawlessly. It has won so many Game of the Year awards. It is just absolutely fantastic, and Naughty Dog did a spot-on job on that game. So you...
All right. Now I'm gonna chime in here, and it's got nothing to do with The Last of Us, but it's got something to do with The Order. I have 5 people that I know that have 100% of The Order, said it was a great game, it was awesome, one of the best games I've ever played. The only thing they didn't like about it was how linear it was. They have played that game enough times, beat it, I think 4 or 5 times each, and 100% of the game.
My only question is, why would you ever want to play that game more than once?
Yeah, exactly. You know,
Well, they obviously something made them want to.
you know, considering the fact that okay, so here's the biggest difference.
You said yourself it's a beautiful game, right?
Oh no, it is. It is.
Okay, but no, wait. Just let me just clarify something first. Does beauty of a game mean that it's a good game? No, it really doesn't.
Okay, no, it doesn't. But it does. But that doesn't matter. We're not talking about how good of a game it was. We're talking about how disappointing it was. No one was disappointed about The Last of Us or The Order's graphics.
Okay, but you're talking
Yeah.
about your own most disappointed game.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. No one said, wow, The Last of Us and The Order have bad graphics. Everyone who didn't have a top-notch PC computer said, wow, Shadow of Mordor's graphics suck. And they do.
Again, do the graphics make a game? They don't.
To clarify something, gentlemen, you guys are all arguing what your most disappointing game. Your goal in arguing now
Exactly.
is to prove why Andrew did already a good example of this. His goal is to prove why The Last of Us is a good game.
And also, you know, and I'm just going to say this, and we're going to go off of real review scores here. So the real review scores, you know, the average of what you're getting on Middle-earth Shadow of Mordor is an 8.7 out of 10, all across the board. And even with The Last of Us, you have 9.5 out of 10 on average. Like, those games have so much going on for them, whereas the average for The Order 1886 is a 5 out of 10. And that is that's you know, and that's going off of numerous different companies that have reviewed each game.
Okay, but there's also an 8.2 out of 10 on that. Like
I'm saying average though. Like I'm taking.
Exactly.
No.
And I'm saying that there were people that liked that game. There's plenty of people that liked the game.
Well, and I'm not saying that the game is bad. What I'm saying is that it's disappointing. It did not live up to the hype that it had.
Michael, go ahead.
Okay, so sorry, you guys are really focused on this thing, and I'm siding with Neil on the fact that not everybody likes each game. For me, I think Shadow of Mordor is a really fun game that it's like Grand Theft Auto for me. Grand Theft Auto is, I would never classify it as a good game. It's a sandbox game where you get to do dumb things and have fun. The fun that comes from Shadow of Mordor is one that comes from your own self-satisfaction of dealing with the orcs and having them rise up in rank above you and them killing you and you having a vendetta against them, trying to chase them down all the time and trying to take them out.
All right, look, I've put 19 hours into Shadow of Mordor. I've got 35% of the achievements on it. I've played a good amount of this game. Am I ever going to say, man, I really just want to play some Shadow of Mordor? Because everything that Brent wants to bring me back to Shadow of Mordor, I can do with Assassin's Creed.
Well,
my favorite orcs are already above them, and no one's going to be able to beat them. I know that. They've killed me numerous times. I've killed them numerous times, and they're under my control, and they weren't under my control. But I'm never, unless something happens where they are like, hey guys, here's an update that makes Shadow of Mordor actually have boss fights, maybe, or not get boring on the gameplay, or have good graphics on the computer, or like, quick, like, fuck, right? The only way to have, like, come on, there's certain enemies that you can only kill. Like, you can potentially kill every enemy by beating it to death with your sword, right? But why would you do that when it's vulnerable to stealth and you can one-shot it? Or on the off chance that it's not vulnerable to stealth or ranged and you have to beat it to death with sword, you hope to God it's not one of the ones that's like that just knocks you over and fucks you up.
But that's the point, though, is that the game adds such a different experience, and you're looking for diversity in your enemies.
I can pull up the game right now and probably pick out 9, 10 orcs that have the exact same stats. The exact same thing. The only difference between them is one guy uses a spear and one guy uses a fucking sword.
No, I know, but okay, but there's a difference with that though, because I played the game with spears. That's a ranged and a close range item. With swords, it's only close range. The point that I'm making is that no matter what, you're gonna have diversity. Even if it's slight, you're still gonna have diversity.
Slight diversity does not make the game not disappointing.
But it doesn't make doesn't make it disappointing because you know what, I would much rather play Shadow of Mordor than what I would do playing an Assassin's Creed game, because with Assassin's Creed, like literally every single enemy is the same. All right, and the newer ones, okay, some of them have guns, some of them have swords, but you're not tying in. You're not tying in the other factors where it's like, one guy's afraid of Cazadors, one guy's afraid of fire, one guy who gets enraged when you bring one of those things into the field.
Bringing those in to the field, I can pull up my game right now and pick 10 orcs that have the exact same stats, regardless of whether they're afraid of something. They will both be afraid of that.
But you still managed to play 19 hours of it.
Yeah, because that's how long it took me to beat the game. I beat the game and I never touched it.
Okay, that's the same with me in The Last of Us. And you know who is really, really stupid enemies? The Last of Us.
How are the enemies stupid?
Okay, because every fucking zombie is the exact same, except for the clickers and the bigger guys. And I can't remember their names at the moment. It's been a while, but...
Bloaters,
yeah. Thank you, Andrew.
Okay, but here's the thing.
Let me explain first.
Okay.
Okay, so when you're dealing with a game that's disappointing to you as your own personal thing, I just want to remember you of the hype that was around The Last of Us being the best game of all time. And it being 10 out of 10 on every average, I put in quotation marks, score mark that is out there. But it is cookie cutter to a T. It is.
Can we talk about bugs? Did The Last of Us have a lot of bugs? Was it a very buggy game?
No, it was absolutely pristine in that fashion.
Okay, cool. Was The Order a really buggy game? I don't know. I've never played it. I can't imagine it being very buggy.
It wasn't It wasn't buggy because there was hardly any gameplay to it.
Okay. I spawned into Shadow of Mordor, and my entire landscape was pitch black because the graphical glitches were fucked.
Okay, but that's a
I had an
problem.
Orc.
That's not a game.
No. Yeah, okay. But on the same hand, this game was supposed to be perfect. This game was supposed to be awesome. All the reviews that came out before the game officially launched were like 10 out of 10, best game ever. I had a fucking orc run at me, except for he was completely inverted. Imagine a guy face planting across the thing. You can't not laugh at that. This guy is supposed to be intimidating. He's supposed to be scary. He's supposed to be hard to kill, and he's fucking face planting towards me. And was I disappointed? Yes, I was very disappointed.
All right, that'll give to you. Okay, you know what? At the end of the day, though, all right. At the end of the day, Middle Earth: Shadow of Mordor and The Last of Us both deliver a long immersive experience. All right.
Okay.
Both games have over 15 hours worth of gameplay at least. Okay, even if you speed run them. Whereas with The Order, even if you go at the fastest pace you could possibly go, and this is at the fastest place you could possibly go, you can 100% the game in about 4 hours. You can beat the game in an hour and a half, 2 hours. That's about as long as a movie. I can watch Lord of the Rings, and it'll be longer than the fucking game.
So is Dishonored.
There's a problem with that.
I've beat Dishonored twice in one night.
Okay, well, we're not talking about Dishonored though. We're talking about The Order.
No.
Yeah,
I know
the game is too short. All right, it's horribly paced. 1 minute you'll have nothing going on. The next minute it's just like, oh, look at all, it's awful. All right, cutscenes.
Okay,
The cutscenes drag on forever. The cutscenes are most of the game. Let me finish here. Let me finish.
Let me say something quickly, just to talk about your point. The main story of the Order 1886, which I have played, is 7 hours. The fastest speed run ever done so far is 4 hours.
Ooh, shot down.
So I just want to say that you're incorrect on your knowledge of the game, even though you have played it. But I believe you probably didn't do something, or that you were missing something, or you tried to rush past it because you didn't seem interested in the game.
Regardless, so let's give it 7 hours. Okay, regardless, the game is short. All right, it's the combat in the game is very generic. It's over the counter shooting. All right, it's like a close encounter Gears of War.
Over the counter shooting, kind of like something else, another third person shooter in this genre, something like The Last of Us, where you kind of have to just pop up and shoot them. And then
No. Okay, no, but there's there is a huge difference between The Order and The Last of Us in this sense.
I would like to say that there is really not.
Okay. All right, no, there's a huge difference. All right, in The Order, literally all you do is just pop over the counter and shoot. Let me finish here. With The Last of Us, you have so much more going on. You have crafting. There's a lot more going on with it.
Wait, I have a point to make. Since you're talking about disappointment. Dishonored's main story, without being a completionist, is only 5.5 hours long. That's an hour and a half shorter than the Order's.
And you know how many people?
I need to ask some questions because I'm getting close to deciding a winner. Andrew, I've heard enough from you. Michael, I have to ask you a few questions that Andrew pointed out. What's the crafting option? Explain to me the crafting side of it.
Okay, the crafting side of this is that you have an option to either make a blade for a shiving, which is either killing the clickers. Basically is the main point of them, because you can't kill them with anything else for the most part. I mean, there are ways to kill it. I just can't remember because it's been a while. But
what else can you do with the creative? What else can you make?
Create a Molotov cocktail.
Okay, what else?
And you can make a first aid kit.
Okay, what else?
And you can upgrade your guns.
What other weapons can you make?
You can't make other weapons.
Okay.
Okay, no. Molotov cocktail, shivs, health kits. You have melee upgrades. You can make melee weapons. So if you have a board, you can put nails in the board and things like that. You have tons of different melee options. You can make nail bombs. You can make smoke bombs. There's tons of other stuff you can make too.
Michael, taking yourself out of the equation, which game would you play? The Order or Shadow of Mordor?
Which game would I play?
Yes.
Shadow of Mordor. But the reason why for that is because it's a game that I feel, for myself, I can play over and over again and still feel satisfied. But with The Order 1886 and The Last of Us, it's one playthrough and you know every twist and turn that happens.
Andrew, taking yourself out of the equation, which game would you play?
I would definitely choose Michael's.
Debatable, I'd say. You're going to play through it again?
Yeah.
Just on the regular?
Easily. Easily. I would play through that game again. Easily, yeah.
You don't get tired of it? Oh, boy.
Okay. I would rather play The Order. Okay? And I'm going to tell you why before I get torn apart by fucking Michael.
Trust me, your comment here is going to be the last one.
I know. Okay? I've watched, maybe at best, an hour of The Last of Us in person and on YouTube. Every time I've watched it, it hasn't captivated me. Nothing looked special about it. Sure, the storyline looked cool, right? The Order? 5 people had told me I should buy this game immediately and play it. I watched the gameplay of it. I loved it. I thought it looked awesome. I would hands down rather play The Order.
Thanks, Neil.
All right.
Fist.
My decision's been made. Wow, that was a long debate. Oh my god, there's so much to address here. I'm not going to address it. I'm just going to say who the winner is. Understand it was very, very, very close. Andrew wins the round.
Give me the point. I want the point.
I'm fucking loading it. One sec.
I would still.
I do want to know why though.
Yeah, I do. I want to know why too, because I think that's ridiculous.
The thing
actually.
that helped Andrew out a lot was Andrew, as Andrew's game does sound. He improved a bunch of points, which Neil also helped Neil out to a degree that Andrew's game isn't that good. It is very linear.
Okay, but linear doesn't mean that it's a bad game.
Yeah, but here's the problem I have is, Michael, you were going on about how there's not a lot of option, not a lot of freedom in the game, but Andrew kept pointing out a bunch of things that found interesting. If the creative thing, when he said about the creating weapons, I thought, okay, that's interesting, but I don't know what they are. If it had only been what you said, Michael, which is a knife and just upgrades your weapons, I'm like, okay, that's not cool. But when Andrew pointed out all the different things you could actually create, sounds cool.
Connor, have you played The Last of Us?
I have not.
Okay.
To be fair, I haven't played any of these games.
I want to let you know about the weapon system upgrading. Is that you would basically what you do is you take the other supplies that you have and you attach them to the melee weapon that you're only allowed to carry one of at a time, which will be like a board. So you stick the nails through it, and it does one instant hit kill, and that's all it does.
I'd like to talk about this more, but we got to continue with the rounds. Andrew just gave the best argument. They were all very, 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 very close. Okay? We now move on to the next question, which is our rewind redo. This is a previous question from one of our following episodes. How rewind redo will work is whatever question we liked from the past we want to bring back, we will bring back. So again, this question is worth 2 points. It was from our previous episode. Andrew and Neil, you guys were involved in this last question, so you cannot give the same answers you guys gave before, unless you won, which, as we know, Kalen won the last rewind redo question.
Spoilers.
Does that make sense?
Spoilers, guys.
Okay. The rewind redo question this week is best video game soundtrack.
Okay.
All right. So we are going to start off with you, Andrew.
All right. Well, I guess you can kind of start off with me and Michael here, because we both have the same one.
Final Fantasy VII.
Oh my goodness, the soundtrack is just absolutely fantastic.
Oh lordy.
Lord have mercy. The Lord knows. So okay.
A will and testament to this is that I have the entire soundtrack, along with another rapped version over the beats of it.
Okay, to interrupt you guys, are you guys working on this one together?
Yeah, we are.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna throw on the boxing gloves here.
Neil, let them finish their explanation.
No, you know what? I feel like I should go first because come on, man.
They already started.
2v1.
Okay, they already started though, and
Stop
anything you
being a
say
little
they'll use
bitch.
against you. Let them go, and they'll let you go.
Gonna pork roast you, boy. So so we're coming into this. You have over 40 different songs on this soundtrack, all of which are very captivating. They all represent something different from the game. Each of them are very, you have songs that are upbeat. You have songs that are, you just have so much going on. This soundtrack alone, they have a best of that they've done, that the London Symphony Orchestra has gone on world tour doing. It's one of the best soundtracks ever given, not just on the PlayStation 1, but of all time. This soundtrack alone has what made the game as great as it is. No Final Fantasy game before or since has ever had a soundtrack that has truly captivated everything that's happened in the game thus far.
Okay, Neil, go ahead.
All right, so if we're gonna do the orchestra argument again, well, I do not know off the top of my head if any orchestras have played Dark Souls music. They certainly can. And I'm only talking about the first one, by the way. Dark Souls 1, not Dark Souls 2. They certainly could. It's all orchestrated already. There's nothing stopping them. They could just grab the sheet music and go.
Okay.
If you need a soundtrack to make your game good, I don't know about that. All right.
That's debatable to the point.
No. Just wait.
Let him finish.
Because this is the exact same point I put out for the Zelda in the last one. the soundtrack is on fucking point at Dark Souls, especially the final boss fight when you're fighting Gwyn. But on the same time, you don't need the soundtrack to be there for the game to be good. You could listen to the soundtrack by itself and not know what game it's from, per se, and still be like, holy shit, this is impressive. This every part of the soundtrack captures a mood, right? It's like, oh, the final boss fight, you're ending an era, you're extinguishing the light. Well, there's two choices, right? You're either extinguishing it or relighting it, but the soundtrack, it's so somber, it's so simple, and it's so minimalistic in at least that song. It just it brings out the emotion of the fight. It makes you question whether you're doing the correct thing. It makes you want to know if everything you have just done for the last however long it took you to beat the game was worth it. It's not an easy boss fight by any means, and you have to concentrate on the fight. You have to have your full concentration on it. But this soundtrack, in all parts of Dark Souls, which I'm pretty sure I don't have to argue that you need your full concentration to play the game, you notice it throughout the entire game. And it doesn't take away from your concentration. It's not like, wow, this game has a really good soundtrack and you die. It's like, you beat the fight and you're like, holy fuck, that song was awesome.
All right, gentlemen.
All right.
Go ahead.
Michael, I'll let you go.
Okay. So me and Andrew were starting on this one, and I realize where you're coming from, Neil, because I have listened to the entire Dark Souls soundtrack all the way through.
And it's awesome.
It's pretty sweet, actually. I'm busy. Someone's knocking on my door. Sorry about that.
Go away. My pants are dead.
But
Right. Yeah.
okay, so basically, when you're talking about basically when you're talking about that, it is a soundtrack for the game, and the game itself is also somber and dark in its own tones, and so is the soundtrack. Because I've never actually finished Dark Souls, but I have listened to the soundtrack because I love listening to soundtracks from video games when I study. But the Dark Souls soundtrack is one that kind of makes you feel a little bit more depressed about yourself, and it does add to the game play. I'm guessing because of the tones of it. As you're going through, you're obviously thinking about it, but I think the downfall of the soundtrack is that it's only an hour and a half long, comparatively to 3 hours worth of soundtrack in a more linear style game. It's also coming from the PS1 area to the PS3 area, and
PS4 actually.
PS4, I guess. So coming from that, I think that the reason that Final Fantasy VII still has the best soundtrack is because it defined. Songs in it define the game, as well as the awesome gameplay that still stayed implemented at that time. They did a complete revolution onto their own system of gameplay, and they changed up a lot of stuff about it, trying to make it better and incorporate the soundtrack into the fights so that you feel more towards what you're doing. Along with the main track that everyone brings up is obviously "One Winged Angel," which we can all atone to is that it is an amazing song in itself, and there's a reason that it was played in the London Philharmonic Orchestra. And I can't say that I've heard a song in Dark Souls played by a big orchestra yet.
And not just that. I don't mean to cut you off, Michael. Not just that, but the music that you have in Final Fantasy VII, it's not just used in Final Fantasy VII. After Final Fantasy VII's release and after the critical acclaiming of the soundtrack, many songs from the soundtrack have actually been used in other games. You have a lot of songs from the Final Fantasy soundtrack being used in different fighting games, Kingdom Hearts series, tons of other games across the board. So that just goes to show that the soundtrack.
I don't think that's a good thing.
No, that just goes to show that the soundtrack is very linear, and the soundtrack can go, I shouldn't say linear,
Okay.
diverse. It's very diverse.
No, all right.
So
now,
it can go many different directions.
Neil?
Andrew, it's not a good. I don't think it's a good thing that it's in different games. What that shows now, it's just you could create a song that truly encompasses what you want, or you could just kind of copy someone else's, use the same song. It obvious they're not going to use like a song that is very upbeat and happy for a for a fucking funeral in a video game, a sad somber funeral. So it doesn't. It's not really diverse. The fact that it's on a different game isn't diversity. It's not.
Okay, no, but you're also looking at if you're talking about diversity of the songs, I can atone to every little bit of that song, every bit of the soundtrack, defining different moments and different actions in throughout the entire game.
Because you haven't played Dark Souls all the way through.
I haven't, but I have listened to the entire soundtrack.
Yeah, but I can do that with Dark Souls. I can say, all right, this is the soundtrack you face when you fight Gwyn. All right, this is the soundtrack where you're fighting Quelaag. Like, I can do that with Dark Souls. That point is virtually invalid. The reason that the Dark Souls soundtrack is, in my opinion, better is because you shouldn't have to have a solid soundtrack for a game to still be really good. The fact,
that's also saying that you're trying to say that Final Fantasy isn't a good game based off of it not having a soundtrack.
I am saying that Final Fantasy VII is a good game based on the fact that it has a soundtrack.
No, it isn't.
I hate that game.
That's the exact same thing with me bringing up The Last of Us, is that I just like that game. But that's also based on personal opinions.
Yeah, exactly. That has nothing to do with The Last of Us. Has nothing to do with the question. I've played Final Fantasy VII. I'm not a fan of it. I don't like the game. The soundtrack was cool. That's the only reason I stuck around, was because the soundtrack was cool.
So you just admitted that the soundtrack is valuable to play?
You gotta let me finish. After I clicked off that game, I was like, was I impressed with the game? No. Did I think about the soundtrack after I clicked off the game? No. The only time that the soundtrack is ever... The only time the soundtrack ever really wowed me, per se, was because I was so not focused on the gameplay of the game that I could listen to the music.
Yeah,
Dark Souls wowed me while I was playing the game. And I was focused on the game.
Okay.
Okay, but you're not. Okay. If you're debating the best soundtrack of all time, then the simple reason why Final Fantasy VII is the best game of all time, the best soundtrack of all time, is because if we're just looking at the soundtracks, then you cannot say that people have gone out of their way to say that the Dark Souls franchise is the best ever, because
I can do that.
I would highly doubt that it was ranked anywhere near the top of any list.
I could do that, especially if you're talking about RPGs, which also falls into Final Fantasy. I could definitely say that people have done that.
I would highly disagree with that.
Okay, well, I could bring up facts if you want to. I can show you people that would say that. I at the end of the day, how many times have you played? How many times have you played Final Fantasy VII?
I play
89 times.
89.
It really depends. Like start to finish playthroughs of the game.
Yeah.
I've done 3.
3. Okay.
I've
so-
legitimately played through that game more times than probably anybody else.
Okay, so every time I played through Dark Souls, which is a awful lot, by the way.
Probably the same amount.
Yeah, okay. I found something new in the soundtrack that I didn't notice before. Something very subtle that really made the soundtrack that much better. Now, I can't say that I did that with Final Fantasy VII. I mean, sure, I played it. I didn't beat the game. I played it. I said the soundtrack was cool, but nothing new came out of it.
I mean, nothing new came out of it.
Michael, Andrew, can I have your final thoughts?
Okay, do you need a soundtrack to? Okay, if simply put, for my argument, I'll let Andrew do this afterwards. You can't say, you can never disagree that the millions of people that have played this game and absolutely loved it, and people even that fucking hate it, know the song, know some of the songs that are on this soundtrack. One Winged Angel, majority of gamers know of that tune.
Well, I followed that.
Majority of gamers do not know any of the songs, titles of. No, that's completely true.
Okay, no. Now, I would actually argue that and say the majority of the gamers won't know the song titles. They'll say, "Oh, isn't that from Final Fantasy VII?" They won't say, "Oh, that's One Winged Angel" or something like that. Case in point was.
Thank you, Neil. Andrew.
No. Just wait. All right. Now, while that pretty much goes for every single soundtrack, right? There is plenty of people that play Dark Souls. It's not a tiny little niche game.
Oh no, I know.
And everyone who has ever played it up to the final boss will be able to say, all right, that came from this, that came from this, that came from this.
That's gonna be okay. All right, those points are completely minute. It doesn't matter if you've played the game or not, because you know, like, if you're playing Dark Souls, obviously you're gonna be able to point. Yeah, the song goes there. Yeah, the song goes there. We're not talking about. You know, my argument here is gonna be, we're talking about soundtracks. We're not talking about gameplay here. All right, okay. I get that. No, let me finish here. I get that the game can be good without the soundtrack, but we're talking specifically about the game's soundtrack. Now, if you listen to One Winged Angel, if you listen to, I want to say about, I'm going to say about a quarter.
Reactor, Eris song.
Okay, all right. Let me finish, Michael. If you listen to about a quarter of the Final Fantasy VII soundtrack, you will be able to point out those songs, and you'll be able to say, man, I know those songs from somewhere, regardless of if you played the game or not. And that's what counts. And the fact that the soundtrack has been used by the London Philharmonic, the Japanese the Tokyo Philharmonic, there are so many different renditions of the songs. The fact that certain songs have made it into different games. The fact that the soundtrack is so well known and that it is spread across gaming culture from here to Timbuktu states that, is where I will support Final Fantasy VII as being the end-all be-all gaming soundtrack.
Okay, so there actually is a Dark Souls orchestra that goes around and plays only the Dark Souls music.
Good, then we can call this match. So my answer is very, very clear. Neil unquestionably dominated that round. Michael, I'm not sure what you were doing at the beginning there, but you kind of went on a little segment about how awesome Neil's is. Neil did give you guys one credit where he did say,
okay, no,
one
Connor,
thing.
No, buddy, you cannot choose.
He's
the
Dark
host. Souls
Quiet.
Based on everything else.
Quiet. You continued to give him points, and Neil did give you 1 point where he did say the one thing that kept him playing was the music. That definitely helped you guys out, but Neil, you guys and it was mostly Michael, I'll give him credit to that. You kept picking on the game, for example, saying the game isn't one of the best games of all time. You kept picking on the gameplay, where Neil stuck to the soundtrack the whole time.
That's complete bullshit right there.
So, Neil, you win that round. Neil, you get 2 points. We now move on to the next question, which is, if any racing game were to be a real-life event, which would you see? We're going to start off with Neil.
I'm rocking that F-Zero. Ain't nothing better than that. I mean, come on, man. You're sitting there... Cars are going the speed of fucking sound. That's fast. They're going up and down loop-de-loops. They're going vertical. They're going upside down. They fucking killing each other. They shooting each other off the map. There's explosions. It's fast paced. If they were playing the soundtrack, it'd be perfect. Now. The only problem with the F-Zero is you'd have to wear ear protection.
Not just that, but you wouldn't even be able to see the fucking...
It's Neil's comment.
I'm sorry.
No. Andrew, you can see things going the speed of sound. Right?
Well, yeah, for like 2 seconds, like a second.
Until it's fucking
Okay, you're obviously not gonna be sitting in the front row.
Okay, the fight, it's not fighting each other yet, opening statements.
Okay, no. Now, obviously, okay, I'll put that in my opening statement. You're not going to be sitting in the front row to watch the entire race. If you're sitting at the front row of a fucking a Formula 1 race, you're only going to see the cars for 2 seconds, though.
No.
Yes. Yes, unless there's a TV in front of you.
All right.
Okay, we're going to move on to Michael.
Okay, my choice is Split Second. I don't know if you ever heard of that game.
I've never.
Have you ever heard of it, Ben?
No.
Okay, so basically the entire game is based around who the fuck is Crinkling Chips?
Sorry, that was me moving around. I had something in my ass.
Okay.
Yes, YouTubers, we are a very classy channel.
Okay, so with Split Second, it basically is a simulation where you are. It's basically like it's a game show, kind of like in like what I would call, like, I would put quotations around game show, but you're driving and obstacles will like fall from like the giant buildings that you're driving around in city streets will start falling and like tearing apart and like destroying cars and like clothing like ways that you have to get around them, like drive around it. And like you like keep like watching the cars like drive in like different paths and all that stuff to try and like avert around these giant obstacles. And planes will come from the sky and crash in front of you, and like you have to like drive through the giant burning debris. Like, oh man, it's just like a eye spectacle if you were ever to watch it. And like what if like you're like someone you knew was racing, and you were watching that, and just like you saw this giant building tumble on top of them, but they managed to get out. Oh man, heart would be pounding.
All right, Andrew.
All right, I'm going with that Twisted Metal swag. So, Twisted Metal, man, like every single answer that I choose has to somewhat do with PlayStation. I feel like people are going to start noticing that about me.
You only played PlayStation?
No, I do lots of different games. It's just all my favorites have been on, on lesser, on those consoles. So, anyway, we're talking about Twisted Metal here. You got cars with frickin' like ballistic missiles on them flying at other cars while you're racing, and you die. Like there's no point. Like there's no question about it. I would love to see that. You know how cool that would be? See, like, tractors racing against, like, the ice cream truck that frickin' Sweet Tooth has, and they just have a fucking ice cream cone turns into a cannon and a laser cannon, and the guy has, like, a tractor, and he's like, "Hey, America!" and he pulls out 2 big machine guns. Like, no point about that does not seem fun. It would be so great. It's like, when you were a little kid, and you had, like, little cars, and you'd be racing them, and you'd, like, and, like, little cars would explode. Can you imagine that actually happening in front of you?
Okay, wait, Andrew, wait. Okay, Connor, I'm pulling out and giving it to Andrew.
Okay.
That would be so dope!
All right, Michael, that means you'll remain quiet this round. Sorry.
I can't talk, then?
I mean, you can if you want to, if you know anything about either game. You can
I do.
Okay. Gentlemen, start debating each other.
Okay. Alright, well, at first I was considering backing up Andrew with that, because that's a real good answer. But now that Michael's gonna do it, that's not fun. That's really boring. Alright, so the only thing
You can't even debate it!
I can. Technically, in theory, it's a racing game, but you're not really racing each other. You're killing each other. That's all.
No. There is a racing aspect to the game.
Hardly. They took
Gentlemen,
that.
This is a real life event. Okay,
Yes,
that's
I
what we're talking about.
Now let me finish. They took that out in one of the games, all right? In most of the games, at least in the newer ones, all right? All you're trying to do is basically a demolition derby. All you're trying to do is blow each other up and kill each other, all right?
Okay.
That's great and all, but this is supposed to be a racing game, right? At least with F-Zero, you get all the great parts about Demolition Derby, such as killing all your friends and slaughtering innocent people. But you could do that till your heart content, but you won't win the match if you try to kill if you try to kill everyone in F-Zero. In theory, you could win, but people are going so fast, and it takes so much out of your speed to kill somebody that you would end up getting so far behind that you wouldn't be able to catch them, and you wouldn't be able to win. I would much rather watch however many people are racing in the race, racing around at the speed of sound, while killing each other.
See, but okay, there's just when you're racing at the speed of sound, man, you might as well just watch on a TV. Like what? Like what? In what universe can you sit there and be like, hey, where you can sit down and watch the race? All right, I get with Formula One, let's give you the benefit of the doubt here. You're only going to be seeing them for a few seconds. At least you're going to be able to see them for a few seconds. They're going so goddamn fast. You'd see them for 2 seconds and they'd be gone. And even watching them on a TV would be damn near impossible. Like it would be so hard to hard to have a lot of people watch, and especially when you have you're going through tunnels and things like that. Like it's
Andrew, you don't, okay? Look, it's simple. If you want to do the whole Jumbotron thing, which is obviously a very prevalent thing at any sporting event, you will have cameras strategically placed. On the same side, you can sit far enough back where you can see the entire track, especially with an F-Zero track, because there's no limitations for them to go flat. They can go vertical. They could even have the track completely vertical with the stands facing the track. So the stands and the track are parallel. And they could be going vertically, going all the way through the track super quick, but from far enough away it doesn't look that fast, right? All you see is explosions, cars passing each other. They're going vertical. They're going fucking like upside down. And if they do go into a tunnel, you look at the screen for if you want to say 2 seconds, and you watch the cameras placed at one end of the tunnel. They're approaching the camera, and you watch them come on the screen, and they're coming on the screen you see somebody get killed or whatever, and then you look back at the track and you see them fly out of the tunnel.
Okay.
Andrew, I've heard a lot about. I've well already pictured what Neil's F-Zero world would look like in this racing. Explain to me. Because yours does sound pretty awesome, Andrew. Explain to me more about it.
All right, so you got so much going on. All right, I get that in F-Zero you would have, it would be a very, very, I'm not gonna lie, it'd be freaking cool. But with Twisted Metal, it's just, you have so much carnage going on. Like, everybody in that race is not only just looking to win, but they're looking they're thirsty for blood. Like, these guys are looking to, watching that would be so cool. It's a crash 'em up derby mixed with the race. And you have so many different vehicles. Okay, there's a vehicle in the game. It's literally some guy on a unicycle, and he's holding on to 2 giant-ass wheels as arms.
His name is Axel.
He's an Axel! He is on a little unicycle, and he has 2 giant wheels for arms, and he just rolls.
He's actually not even on a unicycle in the new ones.
You wanna know how cool that would be? You wanna know think about that for 2 seconds, how boss that would be, seeing him and all of a sudden, a little, rotator turret, comes out of his shoulder and starts, shooting up the guy behind him. Not to mention Sweet Tooth, where, he carries a flaming chainsaw with him at all times and he just hucks it at cars.
Yeah, okay. Now I'll give you the credit on Axel. Sweet Tooth is just a thing of nightmares, really. No. You don't finish. It would not be cool to see a fucking ice cream truck with a giant fucking clown head on it, and then inside see a clown with his head on fire. That would not be cool. That'd be fucking terrifying.
No, it wouldn't be terrifying though. You know how
He hurls flaming chainsaws. It would be terrifying.
but you go there for the adrenaline rush. Like it would, you
Exact same thing for F-Zero, the adrenaline rush.
okay. But it's not the same. You get so much. You get so much more excitement out of this. You have a dump truck that has two giant heat-seeking missile launchers on it. Not to mention the guy in the Mercedes that has 2 machine guns on the sides, and he has the rotating blades coming off his wheels.
Now, just wait. All right. Let's say for an example that both of these were actually realistic at all. At least F-Zero doesn't have some kind of stupid bullshit weapon pickup system where the guy literally just runs over a missile and then it magically comes out with a missile launcher on his shoulder.
That would be so cool, though.
It would be. But that's not how it fucking works.
Yeah, and at the same hand, Neil, if we're talking reality, there's no way that physics would allow you to have a vertical racetrack with cars going the speed of fucking sound.
Okay.
Especially nowadays.
I've come up with my decision.
Connor, I just wanted to say a quick
Go ahead, Michael.
point.
Last point.
Last point is technically Twisted Metal is a vehicular combat game and not a racing game. If you wanted to put that into your own judgment.
It's a racing game.
There are no racing there's no racing components of any of the games.
There's no racing laps?
No, they're all vehicular combat.
There's one track for the PS2 one where there is laps, but you don't have to do the laps to win. And even if you do all the laps, you don't win until everyone's dead.
You guys have no idea how close you are. You were literally it's almost tied. So, due to the technicality, I'm not gonna lie, Andrew, yours sounds amazing. And I would hands down go see that, but due to just the technicality, I'm going to give it to F-Zero.
I wasn't trying to shut it down.
Michael, you're dead to me. You're dead to me.
You guys were
So
literally
sorry.
tied the whole time. And both of them, they both sound amazing to see. Andrew's, I don't care how unrealistic it is, that sounds amazing. I would hands down pay money to see that sick carnage.
But you'd also pay money to see F-Zero.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Both of them, and that's the one thing I give even Andrew credit to. No, I sit Neil credit to. Andrew, I don't know if you've actually, I go to the Chuck Wagons all the time, and most of the time you can't see the Chucks, but it's not about seeing. It's weird as it sounds, it's not about seeing the Chucks. It's about the experience of being there, seeing the big screens, having 500, 600 fans all sitting there screaming, cheering their person on. So with F-Zero, yes, they wouldn't necessarily see it the whole time, but you would be able to see it on tracks, and it's the whole audience there cheering them on.
Okay.
But yours both sound amazing. I wish these were both real-life events.
And there is a racing.
Michael, wise choice.
There
Wise
is,
choice.
and I'm just gonna say this: there is a racing mode in the PlayStation 3 one. It is a racing game.
Mode.
The PlayStation 3 one, it isn't part of the main game though.
It's a racing mode. If you click story, you're not going to race.
They're all described as vehicular combat video games.
Okay, so we're now going to move on to our main event. Just so we know, this main event will be worth 3 points. As it currently stands, the points are 0 points for Michael, 1 point for Andrew, and 6 points for Neil. So Neil, you've already won this. Congratulations. So at this point, it's just a battle for points between Andrew and Michael. And again,
I'm still going to argue.
Oh yeah, Neil can still argue his point and still get more points for himself.
Okay, swag.
All right.
All right.
So our main event question worth 3 points is, what is the best open world game? To this round, we're going to start off with the man who backed out last round for good reasons. Michael, go ahead.
Minecraft.
All right, why Minecraft?
It will never be topped as an open world game where you can do anything as long as they keep updating it which it will probably never stop now that it is owned by Microsoft. And it is limitless capabilities, basically, except for probably trying to get circles. It just doesn't happen sometimes. But I think the blocky sweetness of the squares is enough to keep it content.
Okay, Andrew?
All right, we're going to be going with Fallout 3 now. I say Fallout 3 because you got yourself a desolate wasteland known as the Washington capital. It takes place in the United States Capitol 300 years after the Chinese and American War, where the Chinese and the United States go into nuclear fallout and they bomb each other. And you are a sweet little bab who ends up coming out of a vault after it being sealed since before the war, and you go through this wasteland, and it's your job to save your people in the capital, and everything is your choice. Like, everything in the game is your choice, which makes the game absolutely fantastic.
All right, Neil?
All right, I'm going to Fallout New Vegas, and let's just put everything Andrew said in quotation marks, except for the coming out of the vault thing and where it is, because this one's located on the West Coast, I believe.
No,
Correct?
It's not even on the coast.
Well, no, but it's in the West.
Yes,
Okay, it's in Colorado, right? I think.
but
Mm,
No! Shut the fuck up!
no,
Nevada,
but
Nevada, fuck off, Nevada. It's in
Okay.
Nevada. Now,
Can we clear something up, because I'm confused now. Vegas is in the west, as it is.
Las Vegas.
Where
Nevada.
is Fallout 3 located?
it's in the east. It's in Washington
Yeah.
D.C.
Okay,
Okay,
cool.
let's
I
just-
had to picture it because I was really confused. I'm like,
Okay.
no.
All right.
Continue, Neil.
So instead of coming in a vault this time, you are a courier whose job is to deliver things across the wasteland, which is a very dangerous job, and you get shot in the head. That's how the game starts, and you wake up in a town and you get fixed the same way Fallout 3 kind of, the same. It is obviously a Fallout game at the end of the day, but New Vegas is absolutely stunning. It's an awesome game. I just picked it up. It's a fuck, man. I don't think I've ever put as much time as I have, and my favorite part about New Vegas is I'm not 100% sure if this is how it works in Fallout 3 because I didn't beat the game, but with New Vegas, you are completely okay with just letting everything go to shit. And it's actually one of the endings, is just letting everything go to shit. Like, fucking the wasteland over. Completely over. You could save it and have everyone have power and clean water, or you could blow up Hoover Dam and let anarchy run free.
Okay.
That's why Fallout is sick.
Gentlemen, again, this is the main event. You guys are fighting for second place here, or more importantly, trying to make sure Neil doesn't completely destroy you. So, good luck. Go ahead.
All right.
No, just wait. Let me say something really fast, okay? Since I've already won this, I'm gonna let you guys do the bulk of the debating, and I'll only put in points about my game when I feel it's necessary.
Okay. Now, the thing that Fallout 3 brings to the table is the fact that you have you have someone coming new into the world.
Minecraft has that.
Your dad is Liam Neeson. Need I say
Okay,
more?
Yeah.
Your dad in the game is Liam Neeson. He helps you throughout the entire thing. You have you have tons of different companions. Every single character that you meet is different. You have Widow Billy with his Wazer Rifle. It's a gun that you can get in the game. It's actually called the Wazer Rifle because he has a wisp. You have everybody in the game is just so friendly, or not friendly, I should say, because you have super mutants and death claws and all this other things.
Unique. Everything in the game is unique.
Everything is very unique. The fact that it takes place in Washington D.C. is absolutely fantastic. You get to see what happened to the president's house, and you get a real feel of what happened in the United States. There's so much history to the game. You find out that before the game started, the United States ended up annexing Canada. You find out, there's so much to learn about the game. There's so many collectibles in the game. There's so much time that you can put into the game. Like it's the game that keeps on giving. No matter what you do, the game will reward you in some way, shape, or form. The DLC for the game is absolutely fantastic. One of the DLCs, you get abducted by aliens and you have to fight your way off of an alien spaceship. The game ends with you having to sacrifice your life, or sacrificing a friend of yours actually, to radioactive poisoning. Basically, you get cancer and die, like short form of it. So you die by radioactivity, and the game ends. But then they release a DLC where you didn't actually die. You wake up, and the story continues, and you find out that you weren't actually hit with gamma radiation, but something else happened, and if you decided that your friend died, you find them and they wake up 3 weeks later instead, and you have to help them through this journey, and it's just a battle. It's just a battle through and through, and it's just absolutely fantastic. Like every part of the game is just. And Minecraft sucks.
Well, I would like to debate the 19 million people that have bought the game. Would like to go against that.
All right, say your piece.
Just in the PC version of it. Okay, so when looking at open world games, I think Minecraft really takes the cake, as you can do basically anything you really want in Minecraft, besides probably
except for shoot somebody in the face.
But do you really need that in a game?
Well, you don't need it, but I mean, you said
so exactly. So then there's no real point in bringing that up. Then that's all I'd like to say about that. I said basically anything, which is not meaning everything, but a majority of a lot of stuff. If you're talking about uniqueness, then you can look no further than Minecraft, as it is basically the equivalent of being your own constructor of your own civilization and world, having billions of countless things being able to be made and adventures to be had. I'd like to say that also a good part about Minecraft is that it's also multiplayer, in the fact that you can share this open world experience with all of your friends and not just have to sit in your room by yourself.
Wait, also you're still sitting in your room by yourself, regardless.
Well, true, but you don't actually. That's debatable, because you could bring your laptop anywhere and play with your friends.
Okay, but what if you have a desktop?
If you have a desktop.
Okay, that's a minute point, Neil. That's a very minute point.
Minute point.
Is New Vegas and Fallout 3 multiplayer?
No.
Okay. Continue.
Okay. The community support also helps with the open worldness, because they bring in so many different things that you would not be able to find anywhere else, as they mod and create new things because of the way that the PC world kind of works. And that's also true in Fallout, and that they can bring in new things and also change up a lot. But I don't believe it has the same support as Minecraft does.
It does.
Really?
Yeah, it has a very large modding community.
Ah, that's cool. I didn't know that one.
Maybe not as big as Minecraft's, but it does have a very prevalent modding community.
Awesome. Well, I dig that then. But okay, when you're talking open world, I don't think anyone else can really compare it to the open world that is Minecraft, where you start off as a blank slate and you make yourself into something that you weren't before, and it's not a matter of having a story and a matter of having a linear kind of like structure, or like a structure to it. It's basically do what you want.
Now that's the best part about Fallout as well. It's not about being linear or not doing something. If you wanted to start the game and play it like you're just trying to survive, going around killing animals, eating that, you can. And actually, in hardcore mode, you have to eat, you have to sleep, and you have to drink water, or else you die. Now, the only thing I'll give Minecraft on that is the terraforming thing. That's cool and all, but on the same hand,
what's terraforming?
Where you break the block, where you shape the earth. You could take down a mountain if you wanted to, right? But on the same hand, there's nothing more scary, nothing as intense, right? When you're walking through a dark cave, a deep dark cave. All right, now let's throw some similarities in here. A deep dark cave, right? Very little light, super dark. And with Minecraft, you're looking for resources, and with Fallout, you're looking for resources. Well, they are different resources. You're looking for them, weapons and ammo versus ores and shit like that. Although, sure, you'll get jump scared by a zombie turning the corner and you whacking him a couple times with your sword. If you're walking through a cave and a fucking deathclaw runs out at you, that is the most intense, terrifying thing.
Oh god, Vietnam flashbacks on that one.
You have to figure out what weapon you're going to pull out, because you're not killing that fucking deathclaw in one hit, and there's no knockback mechanic like there is in Minecraft, where you can kind of just keep him at bay. You're not killing that deathclaw in one hit without killing yourself. You have to quickly open up your vats, figure out what weapon you want to use, try to get as much damage on it as you can before it mauls you and eats you. And then, even if you do manage to kill it, you're probably too low health with not enough resources to keep going in the cave. You have to leave. You have to figure out what you want to do, how you're going to survive. And with Minecraft, it's not difficult to survive.
And I find that Minecraft as well doesn't have very much replay value to it. As a guy,
that's a complete lie.
No, as a guy,
I'm with Andrew on that.
As a guy, okay, let me finish here. As a guy who's owned the game since pre-alpha, like I've had the game since since Notch first blessed us with the delicious little cube game. That there was the game itself. Just doesn't don't get me wrong. There's a lot to do. You can make redstone caves. You can do whatever you want. All right. It is the perfect sandbox in a way. It's a perfect sandbox.
It is.
You can do a lot of stuff. All right, but it does not compare to Fallout in the sense where there is so much replay value in Fallout. I have owned Fallout 3 since it first came out in 2008. And I have beaten the game 6 or 7 different times because there are different ways you can beat the game every single time. Whereas with Minecraft, you can't really.
Whereas with this game, I've played it one time and I've never picked it up again. I have never played Fallout 3 ever again because I did not like playing it. That is completely subjective to each different person, and you cannot bring your own personal preferences into this game.
No, he definitely can.
No. Saying as a guy for bringing that into it is nothing, because that's also saying that girls don't play fucking bloody games. So no. As a guy, whatever. That doesn't matter. Being a guy has nothing to do with what video games you play.
No, I'm not saying that does. I never said anything like that.
No. Neil was. No. But you're also bringing in things like this where you're saying that. No. Where the differences between Fallout 3 is that it is more of a apocalyptic post kind of it's more of a scary game. I would call it. Minecraft is more of a friendly game.
Okay.
And you can't you're not debating the fact that there are two different genres of games, because you're saying that something scary is coming out. That doesn't make it an awesome open world game.
No,
an awesome open world.
It's
game
immersive.
Is something that you. You're saying, but you're also saying that Minecraft isn't immersive, where you can. I can't hear anything you guys are saying now.
Okay, I'll tell. Okay, look. First off, when he said as a guy who played this, he had nothing to do with gender.
I'm just making sure, because that's something that has to do with
now that we're off that stupid ass fucking topic, I have put a lot of hours into both games. Probably I've put more hours into Minecraft because I've owned it for longer. I got good, in quotations, at Minecraft. I got good at redstone. I got good at building. I got good at doing everything. It was fun for a time. At the end of the day, though, the only way to make Minecraft really fun is to start installing mods. Really, it's the only way to keep it interesting at this point. Sure, you can say in your head, "I'm gonna build the fucking Sistine Chapel," but then you realize that you have to get all of the resources to build the Sistine Chapel, which probably will take 16, 20 hours.
Except for the fact that you can use a thing called free
creative mode. I don't know. No, just wait. On the other hand, you play it on creative mode, saying, I'm going to build the Sistine Chapel. You spend 4 or 5 hours building the Sistine Chapel just to sit down and go, wow, that was kind of fun. There's nothing rewarding about that. In your, like, when you go through Fallout and you have to choose whether to power a single home that has a baby and a mom and give them power and water, or to give an entire depraved city power and water. Like, if whatever choice you choose, it's a difficult choice, sure, but at the end of the day, if you are gonna feel responsible for what happens. If a creeper comes and blows a fucking hole in your house, it's like, well, that was kind of shitty. I'm gonna just go grab some more.
Do you need choice though in an open world game?
Yes.
Yeah, you
No.
do.
No, you don't.
I
No,
do.
you don't.
I think
Open world game.
No.
It's called freedom for a reason. It's
Okay,
called an
no,
open world
exactly.
game because
There's huge freedom in Fallout. You can do whatever you want, but there's also choices that you don't have to make if you don't want to. But if you feel like doing a certain thing, you can make the choice. You can make the choice of killing 100,000 people or saving 10. Right? Like, you don't have to choose, and you could roam the wasteland forever if you wanted to, and you could
okay.
every fucking cave and every fucking nook and cranny of the wasteland if you felt like it, right? And people do that. A lot of people do that. But
do you know what a lot of people do too? They also recreate and keep creating and doing new things in Minecraft, where like every new terrain you create is new, and that you'll never explore that same amount of terrain ever again.
Yeah, okay. Okay, look. That's if you go down through a cave, right? Obviously, it's a cave, right? You come out of that cave, it's just a small little cave. This is in Minecraft, right? You come out of that cave, and you leave, and you go do whatever you want to do. Now, in Fallout, you go through that cave, it's a small little cave, you kill a couple enemies, you get some ammo or whatever. You come out of that cave, and you do exactly what you're going to do. At the end of the day, if you go back to that cave in both games, it's going to be the exact same. Nothing's going to change.
Very, very true.
And I while you don't need choice in an open world game, it is a very nice addition.
It helps immerse you into the experience. You're not just going in there, like playing.
That's
because
completely subjective.
So I'm gonna jump in here. Yes, I understand the choice thing, but to be fair, Minecraft does have choice, but the difference with Minecraft's choices is it's endless what kind of choice you have. Whereas Fallout, you have a specific kind of choices you can make. You can choose whether to or not make them. Whereas in Minecraft, the choices is endless on what you can do. Whether you top down a mountain, they're different kinds of choices. So
Harrington, perfect open world game.
No more of the choice argument.
Okay.
Thank you.
Now, I definitely don't think that Minecraft is a perfect open world game. I've put 48 hours into Fallout and I haven't felt bored once. I've probably put 100 hours into Minecraft and probably 40 hours of that have been boring. Like you think in your head, it's like, wow, I can't wait to make this automatic farm that harvests itself. But then you go down and you start getting all the resources and you do all the things to get things. And since it's random, whether the ores spawn or not, you could have the shittiest luck and never find it. Ever. It's random. So in theory, that could happen. If you don't find that, you're going to spend fucking forever looking for that, just trying to make a fucking farm. And then once you actually find it, you're going to make the farm, you're going to feel great about yourself. I'd say about an hour, give it or take. You're going to press that button. You're not even going to think about how much effort it took to build that farm. You're just going to say, man, I really want some bread.
Are you going to think about how much effort it took you to get a bullet in Fallout? I would say it's the same thing. No. I would say I would say no. I would say it's the exact same thing as Minecraft.
No, actually.
That's again completely subjective.
No, there is times where I have been completely out of ammo on all of my guns, and I had to run through a fucking cave full of Night Stalkers to find a single clip and try to kill all of them or make it back out alive.
Okay, that's so what? That again, you completely.
So, yeah.
But then again, you completely forget.
No, you don't.
Yes, you do. Don't lie to me and say that you wouldn't.
I'm
you
telling
would not
you.
forget. No, that's complete. Neil. That's completely a lie.
Well, that happened to me about 3 to 4 hours into the game. I've put 48 hours into it.
Yes, completely. That's also another thing. You put 48 hours into it. It's repeating the same. It's repeating the same thing over and again.
Michael,
No, it's not.
Michael, I'm going to ask you a question. Are you saying that he's lying? The fact that I'm confused about what you're saying he's lying about.
No. Okay, what I'm saying is that he's bringing up a scenario where you're running towards it, looking for the ores, and you find them, and you go and build your thing. You just say like, and so at the start of it, you don't have any ore. You go get your ore. You use up all your ore. You completely forget about the task you just did, and you want to do something else. In Fallout, as the game progresses and your mind keeps going through, you're not going to keep thinking, oh man, I was just walking for maybe an hour looking for bullets, and I found them, and then I used them. Oh man, that was really interesting. Now I'm going to go do something else in this open world game where I have other options and stuff to do.
Right, okay, but I didn't forget about it, and every time I go back to that cave, I'm like, this is the fucking cave where I almost died. And this is the cave where it was one of the most intense moments of my in all the video games, simply because, and all I was trying to do was getting ammo.
Okay,
So,
I can call back countless times I've been playing Minecraft where I have been chased across the entire way by maybe 7 creepers all coming after me that didn't stop, where I was completely just stuck walking because of a broken key or something like that. Your own experiences towards the game are completely inadequate to each situation that you're bringing up because you're repeating the same thing. If you bring up the fact that I'm searching for ore and I get hunted down by these things, it's the same thing as you getting hunted down by these Night Stalker guys.
But they're not hunting you. They're not hunting you by any means. They're just walking around. There's people in Fallout that hunt you.
Okay, but
their job is to kill you. That is what they do.
That's part of the game.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes, there's no programmed thing in there that besides if you wanted to add them in there, or if there's something that comes out that they have something that targets you and hunts you. It's programmed into the game to have them target you. I'm not the thing that I'm just trying to fucking clarify is why the fuck does it matter if a game has this happening or this one doesn't have that happening? Okay. It doesn't mean that it's a better open world game because you have something chasing you.
Because it brings in replay value.
Okay, I'm pretty sure I've come up with my decision.
No. Just wait. I argued with Michael there for a shit ton, and Andrew hasn't said anything.
No, fuck it. I'm done. I'm going out after this.
Andrew, do you have anything to say?
Well, in all honesty, all my points are with Neil because our games are realistically the same except for different setting and different weapons. Everything about them are the exact same. So any point that Neil has made is my point. So.
Okay, fair enough.
So, just so you're all clear, you should have chosen World of Warcraft. That's the correct answer.
No.
The open world, both of your games have acknowledged the fact that it's the possibility of going anywhere and doing anything. So both of your games are very interesting, and I'm going to side on both of you guys. I have been in situations, not necessarily in Fallout, but in games where I'm out of ammo or I'm out of mana or whatever it is, and I'm in a tight situation where I have to get out of there as fast as possible. I've totally been in Neil's shoes. The thing that kind of decided it for me was, okay, I'm going to say it now. Minecraft wins.
Thank you.
The big reasons that decided that was I feel you can do a lot more in Minecraft. You can do there's a lot more freedom to it. And the big thing I give it is the multiplayer. To me, open world, to bring multiplayer into it brings a whole new light to it. Yes, unquestionably Minecraft, if it was one-player Fallout versus Minecraft, then Fallout would win because it's a one-player game. Fallout's a lot more fun to play by yourself. But Minecraft has the multiplayer option, and everything we criticize Minecraft for is way more fun with Minecraft, with multiplayer option into it. So
right,
I'm going to give that to Michael.
Dig it. Yay!
So our winner this round is Neil with 6 points. Second place, Michael and Andrew again in last place.
Yeah, fuck you, cockboy.
What happened, Andrew? Oh my god. No, but you guys all did fantastic. Neil, good job. Congratulations. Michael, thank you very much. This is a great debut for you. Andrew, good job. So, and again, everyone watching, thank you very much. Please rate, like, subscribe, all that fun stuff. Follow us, all that fun. Check us out on Facebook. Check out our website. Please make sure to tune in. Sorry, let me just find the exact date of our next episode. Oh, God, I should have had this prepared. Make sure to tune back in May 10th to see our next episode, which will once again feature our good friend Neil, and we'll feature 2 new people that will be debuting, our new editor who's going to be debuting, and our first female who will be debuting. So that'll be very fun. Guys, thank you very much. This was a huge blast. And thank you, everyone. Have a good night.